Hey guys, what's going on? I have another project happen, but it's a pretty easy one. Most of you are probably pretty privy to how to manage this. It's just changing front brakes on a Nissan Armada. So I'm going to do that, kind of show you the quick processes and steps on what to take and how to do it. First thing I've done is I have popped the cap here, just left it on loose because you're going to have to compress your calipers here in a bit, and that liquid needs to come up and you don't want air pressure building up in here. So, and I leave the cap on because sometimes it just will want to squirt and get all over the place. So first thing you do, pop your hood, get that loose so the air can come out as the reservoir rises when you're pushing your calipers back in. Next step, jack it up. I got mine right underneath the coil plate at the bottom, or the shock plate, A-frame, whatever the heck you want to call it. Let's see if I can. And then under here, I'm going to adjust my camera a little bit here. I've got it on the jack stand because you don't want to jack alone. It's not smart by any means. So I'm going to set my camera up here. Hopefully get a good position for you all so you can watch the steps and learn the procedure. So I'll get set up. Alright, let's start with what you're going to need. Obviously you need your brake pads. In my case, my rotors are good enough. I'm not going to replace them. They're not warped, so I'm not getting any sort of kind of wavering when I come to a stop or any sort of twitching on the steering wheel as I hit the brakes. So they're good. They don't have any big grooves or anything like that in them. I do have my pads under warranty, so I got to swap them out and bring back the cores. That's why I'm going to keep them, put them in the box. You don't have to have one of these, but it sure makes the job easier. Is the piston caliper compression tool, Maddox. I got it over at Harbor Freight, which doesn't have the greatest tools, but since I'm not a pro shop, I don't do this a lot. I know how, but it sure makes it easier, and it's good enough. So you will need I use a 1/2-inch socket with, I believe it's 17 is what I've got on there. Let's see here, 17 millimeter. Yeah. Some brake cleaner. That is my impact. But you don't have to have one of these either. Oh, there it is. 13/16 is the size. Nice rag. And because it's a dual piston, I need this one, and I'll show you why later as we get into that. And over here's all my stuff. I always buy a little pack of the brake lube, all that kind of junk, just to help out with it. So, let's get started. This thing's got me spoiled just a little bit. Alrighty. Use it as a seat. Alright, so now, see if I can set this up where you can kind of see everything. Good God. There's that. A little bit excited. Let's get rid of some of the brake dust buildup so it's not such a blackened mess of nastiness. Alright, 17 millimeter. If this thing's in your way a little bit, give it a little tweak. Ain't gonna hurt nothing. Pop that one. Pop that one. Alrighty. Dun, 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 dun. So I'm doing all my editing off my phone, so it's kind of limited on what I can do. And it's still time consuming and extremely boring. So that's why I don't post that many videos, because I just can't bring myself to do it all the time. Alrighty, well that's an oddly, so that pad kind of wore almost like a wedge a little bit. Not much though, but that one really wore out. These are, I put these in 2017, so they're not super old. These still have some meat on them. I've already done the other side, and they were worse than this. They lost, the line was completely gone, and the little indicator bar here was touching the rotor, causing some sound, letting me know, hey, something's wrong. Gotta remove the clips, because they do provide new ones. These are AutoZone Duralast brand. They're okay. They're obviously not top notch, but lifetime guarantee, so these aren't going to cost me anything but time. Change them out. Pop them suckers in. Got to get them all the way in the grooves. Obviously, it's a chance to check your rotor face and see how bad it is. And mine, and there's a little lip on the edge, but like I said, they're not warped. There's no real major groove at all anywhere. And I'm cheap, so I'm not gonna change them. They're good enough for me. All right, so brake pads. Set them up. So the indicator pin, whatever you want to call that, it goes on the back because there's enough room cut out here. The other one has this bar in the front that won't let that go in there, so don't try to force it. So the pin part goes in the back. So I take and just lube these little bars here, each side. Start it in the bottom one. If I could see what I'm doing. There we go. It goes in there like so. Same with the other one. Try not to get the grease on the pad faces. Cause some fade for a while until it comes off, and then once you're done with that, I'll wipe your hands off so you're not getting grease on anything that doesn't need it. Alright, next thing is, and I hope you can all see this, this is the little nifty tool here. Screw it in, shrink it down. You gotta get it to fit. Alright, back it out, kind of get some pressure on it. Now what I do, because it's a dual piston, is I take this clamp to hold the other one from getting pushed while you're compressing the first one. If you had a fancier tool, it would probably do both of them, but again, I'm cheap and I can make this work. So, that there, and then you just gently, don't get crazy, start compressing the piston. Some people may whine that I'm letting the pressure hang off this hose, which is probably not the greatest idea to do, but it's fine. These hoses are, this car's not that old, they're not cracked or anything like that. I'm not too concerned about it. If you are concerned, just take a bungee cord or something, connect it here up to something up there to take some of the weight off the line. You don't have to worry about that. So nice and slow, like. Sometimes that little rubber like dust cover gets a little bit mushed in. wrong places. You might have to work it around with your finger some, but you'll get to a point where you just feel like it stops, like right there. You just want to stop. Do not push it any further. Like right now, that thing is not seating in there like it should. The other side's seated well. If you can work it in, I would suggest doing so, just so your pad doesn't catch and pinch it and break the dust cover, where you start getting dust down in your cylinder. There we go. Just got to massage it and work it. Alright, so now we take this off and move it to this side to keep that piston from coming out, which my room is a little bit lacking here. Rinse and repeat. Get on there. Okay. I'll gently get it started. There she goes. I feel like they were like nearly maxed out. They were kind of hard to get to that point. Okay. Move that, move that. Again, this side's being kind of a pain in the butt here. These dust jackets. Well, this side went right in. Oh my gosh. Starts the cascade events of ridiculousness. So just keep kind of, that one is definitely being kind of a pain. Just keep pushing it in. Eventually it will work itself in there. There it goes. Just got a massagey. Alright, I take a little bit of grease here and just kind of coat the top of the piston there, just to keep any noise down, hopefully. Alright. Oh, yeah, and coat the back side of these fingers as well, because those are going to rub against the pad on the other side. Don't get crazy with the grease, just needs a little bit. Alright, slip her on in. Now pay attention to the guides here. They've got flat notches on each side, and there's actually a little protrusion in the casting here. Make sure this is not sitting on the protrusion, it's got to miss it. What do I do with my bolts? Oh, my garage. Why? That's my stuff going missing. Cut! Well, I found them. They were conveniently hidden under the handle of my clamp. It's typical. So I usually put a tiny bit of grease on these threads, just so there's no seizing of them down the road if I ever do this again. Which I probably won't, because I'll probably sell the vehicle before then, but we'll see. Just a little bit of grease will do. Loose. loose to get the next one. Same thing at the bottom, there's an indentation. Or not an indentation, but a protrusion. You gotta make sure it lines up. The flat part's against it and not on top of it. Okay. Now you can get online and get your torque specs if you're that concerned about it. My torque specs are, yeah, that feels good. That's my torque specs. But I have been doing mechanics long enough, I can kind of feel it. One is just enough. Okay. Now, back on with the tire. Tires weigh a flipping ton and a half, man. Alright, now, I'll show you a little tip here. The studs on this car are particularly short. And really can't get your fingers in there. And when you go to throw the nut in, it settles way down deep in the socket. Now there's two ways you can do this. You can just put one nut in and set another one on top. And we can get it started. Or you can take a little 9/16 3/8 socket, throw it inside there. That'll help keep your nut. If you have this issue, you may not. But with me, my deep sockets, it doesn't really allow me to get on the stud back there. So all these go in. Obviously don't lose your socket. And then when you're tightening up, you gotta get your wheel settled. You just barely get it. Star pattern. Most of you probably already know this. Again, there's a torque spec for these, but my torque spec is, that's good enough. They are just aluminum wheels, so can't be too tight. So that's pretty much it. We can go up here. And you'll notice, now, so I can get this camera to work right. You notice now that the reservoir is up here. So never add, if you're low, it probably means your pads are low. So check all your pads, and when you change them, then you can check your level. Because right now I'm like right at, I'm right there at the max line. So, and I will pump these, obviously, to reset the calipers back down on the on the pads, and a little bit of that will come down. So there you go. Hopefully it's helpful. Probably missed a few things. Probably have some people add some pointers in the comments, but that's fine. That's part of doing this thing. So anyways, hope you liked it. Thanks.